Race day is coming up. What is the best race day shoe for you? In my opinion, Nike's Vaporfly 3 is that beast. Hold up, bro. Hold on. You've just ran your first ever sub 50 10K at the A6 London 10K, yeah? And you wore the Cloud Boom Echo 3. So for me, in my opinion, it makes it worthy of a comparison. I would like for us to objectively compare these two shoes to help these guys make their decision. I'm Aubrey, well, so is he, and we're both average runners, simply trying to be less average by the day. As at the time of recording this, I'm at 4,930 subscribers. We're there at that 5,000 mark. Anyway, you can catch me on YouTube, but if you want, you can catch this guy on Instagram, aubrey.running. So connect with us, but for now, let's talk about the shoes. And if you don't mind, let me just give you a synopsis, a summary of everything I'm gonna say, why this shoe is better than that shoe, and in certain situations where that shoe might be better than this shoe. I'm gonna summarize it in terms of the distance you're running. In my opinion, oh, by the way, I'm gonna explain all of this later on, so stick around for that. But if you're running anywhere between 5 and 10K, I'm gonna be honest. I love the Vaporfly 3, but that's the shoe for you. If you're running anywhere between 10K and a half marathon, we could argue. It's quite subjective. That's going to be down to a few things, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But anything half marathon and onwards, I'm telling you now, this is the way forward. The Vaporfly 3, because of the cushioning and what it offers as a shoe in terms of its lightweight performance, no brainer. But let's get into detail why this shoe is better than that, and then I'm gonna let that Aubrey explain why that shoe might be better for you than this one. Well, reason number one to me is the price. In my opinion, this is the biggest differentiator. £235 for the Vaporfly 3 versus £260 for On Running's Cloud Boom Echo 3. Especially in today's time, it becomes a no-brainer that this might be your preference because it's what you can afford. Now, don't get me wrong, I think both shoes are very expensive, but one differentiating factor is the price. The Vaporfly 3 definitely wins this one. Number one reason is the return of energy compared to the Vaporfly 3. Let me explain. Okay, so look, both shoes have a carbon plate in the midsole, okay? But this shoe feels a bit more closer to the ground. Well, it's got a lesser stack of 37 mil. You do feel closer to the ground and a bit more in control of each step because of that. You see, the advantage that the Vaporfly 3 has in the ZoomX cushioning, that plushiness, is somewhat of a compromise when it comes to actually propelling you forward and feeling the impact of that carbon plate. This midsole is a bit more minimalistic compared to the Vaporfly 3, and that's why I'm saying the return of energy is more felt, and it's more a direct experience in this shoe compared to the Vaporfly 3. Reason number two is the weight of this shoe compared to the Cloud Boom Echo 3. Now look, I don't know what kind of witchcraft and wizardry Nike have done here, but this shoe is literally the lightest shoe I own, not even just versus the Cloud Boom Echo 3, but in a 9.5 UK, this bad boy comes in at 208 grams versus the Cloud Boom Echo 3 at 232. I don't know what's happening, but especially on race day, it becomes a no-brainer as to which shoe you would want. This is a key one. If you find any of what you're watching to be informative or even entertaining or just worth your time, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It would mean a lot to me and I'm trying to grow my community. Okay, let's carry on. Number two is the outsole. I know people have flagged some issues with this shoe, but in comparison, I find this to be a better outsole than the Vaporfly 3. Controversial. This one's going to be controversial. The outsole I've got here is showing less wear and tear than I do on the Vaporfly 3. The Vaporfly 3 is showing a bit more wear and tear than this. Now, I know there's been feedback in terms of how strong and resilient this outsole is. But for me, in my experience, I find that this is holding up a bit better than what my Vaporfly 3 does. So it definitely is maybe an advantage. You might have had a different experience than yours. I'm just telling you mine. Number 3 is breathability. There is something about this fly knit that's just outstanding. Have you ever walked into a room in your house and realized, hey, hold on, it feels cold in here? You look around, realize someone left a window open. That's this. Somebody has left a window open on the Vaporfly 3. I ran my 50-minute, 1-second 10K in this bad boy, and the day felt like Lucifer, Satan's armpit. That's how hot it was. And this bad boy didn't disappoint. One thing you don't want to do on top of concentrating on being alive as you run is feeling the heat in your feet. You don't want that, especially on race day when that race counts. This bad boy does an amazing job of letting out all that heat whilst not compromising the resilience of this upper. What Nike has done in this fly knit, absolute wizardry, and in my opinion, it outperforms On Running's Cloud Boom Echo 3. Lastly, number 3 is the hold in this upper. Where there is an advantage in the Vaporfly 3 in terms of the fly knit upper, the breathability and the lightweight, it's actually a disadvantage in terms of structure and holding your foot firmly in the shoe, especially considering the type of speed you're doing in these shoes. On Cloud Boom Echo 3 gives you a bit more structure, a bit more of a better hold of your foot when you put your foot in this shoe, because it is lightweight, and don't get me wrong, it's still a floppy texture, but this offers you a better hold of your foot compared to the Vaporfly 3. And lastly, reason number 4 is the Zoom X midsole. There is comfort in here that I've not experienced in many running shoes. Now look, if Nike made the midsole here big enough for a mattress, sign me up, bro. Sign me up. Because the Zoom X midsole, the comfort you get out of this is literally unspeakable, man. It's mind-blowing. And that's why I said, when you're considering the longer runs, and I'm talking past 10K, this shoe comes into its own because it still has a good return of energy. But in the latter miles of your run, if you're doing a half marathon, full marathon, this is where that Zoom X midsole comes into its own. And to me, the comfort that the Zoom X offers simply outperforms the minimalistic feel, the good return of energy we talked about in the Cloud Boom Echo 3. Zoom X is simply, in my opinion, the best, plushiest, most comfortable foam in a running shoe. Number 4, I know I said lastly on number 3, but there is something about the look of the shoe I prefer. And now this is very subjective, I know. I prefer to the Vaporfly 3.